So please give your hand to Peter, and Peter, please welcome to the microphone.
Well, I can sense that everyone is much more relaxed after a wonderful meal. So thank you, Brother Mohammed. And again, welcome to everyone here. I forgot to mention Eritrean friends when I welcomed Somalis early on, and there are no doubt other nationalities that I should welcome here, and probably everyone is British in any case. So I was asked to say a few words about initiatives of change, and I thought to just start. I live in Oxford, and initiatives of change started in Oxford in the 1920s, and the students who started this with an older man had fought in the trenches of the First World War, and so they were thinking about rebuilding their country after war. And this older man, Frank Bookman, he said, if you want to see the world different, you have to start with yourself. And he was proposing values of honesty and purity and unselfishness and love, which are deep spiritual values in all our faith traditions, but they are also antidotes to societal diseases, because honesty is an antidote to corruption, unselfishness is an antidote to unbridled self-interest, and you can't create community if everyone's looking after themselves only. Purity is the antidote to unfaithfulness, and unfaithfulness can destabilize families, which is the basic building block of society. And then love is the antidote to the fault lines that divide all our societies of race or class or religion. And so he was saying that these deep spiritual values of individuals are also essential for societal stability, and for vulnerable countries like Britain was at that time, rebuilding after the First World War. They were essential values to become normalised in the society. So So then initiatives have changed. It was called the Oxford Group in those days, and then it became known as moral rearmament, when countries were rearming militarily before the Second World War, and Frank Bookman said what was needed was a moral and spiritual rearmament to deal with the causes of war in the human heart. And then after the Second World War, it became a mass movement. So this is why some of the approaches that we are adopting now, I'm understanding, are helpful to Somalis and to people from other countries who are in a similar position as Britain was after the First and then again the Second World War. So, in a way, there's a tradition here that underlies what the training that our Nabadcuriye friends and others have received. And as you begin to look at your own life against such high values, you have to change your life. And no one can look at those values and say, I'm perfect. So everyone has to change. We're all on a level, and we can help each other change. And this is where people of different spiritual traditions can actually come to a very deep friendship, and trust can grow as we try to put these values into practice. But then you also then ask yourself, well, what about your country? Because I'm not an individual, I'm created by my society. So then wrongs in myself may reflect also wrongs in the society.
Well, Salamaya, please, I'll help you later.
Hello everybody. Hello everybody.
Caawa farxad gaara ayaa haysa runtii waayo halkan maalintii la dhisay markii la furayo waan joogay.
Tonight I'm extremely happy because when this place was opened, I was present.
Muddo dheer oo dhowr tobanka dhaafsan marka tobanka dhaafsan ayaad moodaa in caawa aan kubaq markii kaliya ku iman jiray haddana 2, 3, 4, 5 caawa tiim dhowr Soomaaliya oo weli khamiis u bayimaada ayaa halkan jooga oo runtii aad ii farxad gelinaya.
And I'm extremely happy that I've been coming here over 10 years, and I used to see the numbers small, but now tonight I can see a huge gathering, predominantly Somalis. And that is
tobankaas sannadood iyo intii ka horreysayba waxaad moodaysay markii hore ninka Jim Baynard Smith ayaa anigoo iska lunsan oo ka yimi rashadii xamar iyo dalkeenii weliba reera oo nasiib daro dee hoggaanka saraa wax walba leh annaga dhibaatada oran lahayn ayaa aan halkan imiyo soo fakaday kadib markaa mabaan miyirsadeen baan isleeyahay haddaan ilaahay ila kulmin Jim iyo rag kale oo markaa aanay arag dagaalkii labaad iga sheekeen iyo waxay soo mareen iyo qoladii socon jirtay oo reer iyo
I came here, and first time when I came here, running away from a conflict, I came to this country quite confused and absolutely lost. And I came across Jimmy, who then told me about his work and what he has done in the Second World War, and the conflict resolution, other issues. Had it not been him, I would not be here today.
runtii markaa dad badan baan kula soo casuumi jiray warkaale dad wixii loo kala soo maray waxay soo maray haddana ka baxay say uga baxeen taariikhdii oo dhan iga sheekeynaya maanta markaa waa teamkii u badnaa baa Nabadcuriye noqday.
And since then I've been bringing in and inviting my community members to come and learn from previous mistakes of conflict and how to resolve conflicts. And tonight is a victory for me to see the huge number and the success of recruiting people to that ideology.
waxaan soo dhaweynaynaa inaan khamiis walba timaadaan ama halkan ku shiraynaa waa inoo diyaar kuraastaas waa inoo diyaar oo markaa aynu nin walba sii faafiyo falsafada Soomaalinimo iyo huyoonimo waxaan ugu nabcaa markaa yaraa markii ay Soomaalida SOS abuurtay la yidhi Soomaali bar Talyaana qaatay bar Ingiriis bar xabashaa la siiba ayaa waxa weeye waxaan u dhabcay ninka Ingiriiska oo dadkii gogoy imankana isagii baasaboorkiisa wata
Historically, I used to hate the British and the whites because of the historical background where the culture, the African continent was divided by the white man. And in particular for me, where everything was divided under the European name. And certainly that same person that I hated gave me sanctuary, citizenship, and peace.
حبشو قربان ضد عالمي، كير قربان ضد عالمي، فرنسيسكو قربان شيء مصلى كمان، وحاسة يرانتي لهم سكري، ما أنت وحنكون فكرينا واليورو كيس عنو تكتبه وسطت، وتشرب ليه فرنسيسك صدق حقوقه كيس هنا كإسبابية، هي باسبور كم ديستي، أو موف بكتبه مدرسة العكسي، ورا ما وحن إيجالو كنت رسول بن شو كل كروين، يعني جيت توبي حب عيد دبانو قال يا مش حد كان يحقق بالله. ور كيري حد كان يحقق سومالي شمت الدنيا وحكى بدن بو بهريه marka caawa sidee caawa aan umada ilaahay si walba u mideeyay afkii dhaqankii diintii sunniin kullu wada Soomaalida xageena caawa wax la wixii u dhaxeeya ma jiro marka caawa nabadguryaha abuurteen iyo dadka isu tagay oo bahalka qabiilka la yiraahdo ee beenta aynu ka dhaqaaqo oo ninaan eedin ma jiro.
I'm pleased to see that my generation were brought up under the hatred of either fighting the Ethiopians or the Kenyans or any other person. However, that has now changed to the extent that the world is changing, where Europe has become a united front, where the borders have been completely taken out, and yet we, the same people, same language, same culture, same identity, are not even able to make a peace for themselves and to have a continent that is full of peace and
عليه هذا وصل دموي قبلتيسن وحوي آدي آد بان يدينهم بريانية نبادكورية إيو معلمين تن عرفتي ينوتي من مشي وهاي سيو فاسيلس كان نوك عليها خميس والبا هي مرر كلام تذكرنا سوتشي ده محوها ساسر وحكون قرنا نرتي.
I thank you for coming tonight, and I thank Nabadcuriye for their event and their hard work. But I also would like to welcome you to be part of the AFR, come to the center where we meet every Thursday. Many thanks, and thank you. And thanks to the chair. Right, Osman, thank you very much. As you know, Africa is a continent, but sometimes people confuse that as a country. And I've heard many people say, you're from that country called Africa, aren't you? I'm now going to welcome another member from the Horn of Africa, one of the elders, our neighbors from Eritrea, Burhane Walde, to say a few words about the center. Please welcome.
Good evening. Just in case
I poisoned you.
Good evening. My name is Burhane Gabriel. I'm from Eritrea. Like my brother Osman, I was also fished out by Jim. He was my first contact, but we didn't meet here. We met in Khartoum, and then by chance, I don't want to go into much details, but I ended up here, and I'm very happy that I'm among brothers and sisters, and as Peter said, we are also British, so I'm among my own people in a way. I'm one of those who continuously come on Thursdays, or most of the time. On the back of Peter's mind, he's saying he always comes late or something he will say, I'm sure. But, I like to take this opportunity that those of you who don't come, you are most welcome. It's a very good community. We exchange ideas and learn from each other. and our big continent, as the chair mentioned. We have more or less narrowed it so much, the Horn of Africa, that many of us have now started to say, I'm from the Horn of Africa and not Eritrea, Somalia, Ethiopia, or what have you. And there are some Ugandans, we have South Sudanese also, and Kenya, yeah, the Sudan, I said the Sudan, yeah, Ethiopia. And so it's a good mix, but we are gladly dominated by the Somalis. And we, you know, when President Siad Barre left the country, we got our independence in Eritrea, as if we were waiting for him to leave. And then Somalia's problem started almost immediately after he left, but with us we were jubilant, we were very happy, and for some years. But gradually we are now, you know, at a stage when Somalia was starting in 90-something. So we hope a lot from what Nabadcuriye is going to do, because after Somalia they will also come to Eritrea and resolve our problem. So I have another vested interest why I want to be here. So you are also welcome to join the Horn of Africa, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Burhani, and thank you very much to the previous speaker. Now, where is Idil? Is Idil here? Abdi, can you come over and join me here and tell us more about the craft itself? Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Idil to tell us more about it. There is a craft.
Yes, hi. I thought Abdurrahman was going to be doing that.
We want the ladies' power.
Okay, my name is Idil. Lajal is my mom, for those of you that don't know. But Initiatives of Change. It's not my first time at Initiatives of Change. I took part at a course in Co for European Muslims many years ago in 2008, and since then, Initiatives of Change have been very supportive in welcoming young Somalis and young Muslims, so I've been taking part over the years, but I haven't been as active. And recently I met up with Peter and Sue and some other young European Muslims in Istanbul a couple of weeks ago, just to touch base again. Just to speak about the arts and craft. They're made by, most of them are handmade by AMEB, which is an organisation that is based in Italy, and all the proceeds obviously raised today will be going to Nabadcuriye, but please take a look, buy, spread the word, and you know, they're very cute and you'll be seen.
Right. Thank you very much. Now you know why I didn't say anything more than to call that name. Now we're going to come to the most important bit, the reason why we're here, which is fundraising for Nabadcuriye. And please now let's welcome the chair, the writer, our brother Abdurrahman Atidon. Please welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, happy one Axel, and thank you for coming. This wonderful fundraising dinner event. In the name of Nabadcuriye, I would like to thank each and every one of you for coming. And please support from now on the missions of Nabadcuriye, inshallah. I know it's a late time and everyone would like to go back home because tomorrow is work day. And but it has been said that storytelling is one of the most powerful things in the world, and it's always good to start the speech with a story. This is not powerful. This is a very normal story of mine. Let me start. Then I will tell you later why I tell this story. It was back at the end of back in 1987. I was in Mogadishu one day I was walking through the streets of Mogadishu, and while I was passing in front of the National Refugee Agency, I saw on the wall pictures and phrases, words. And one of those phrases, was saying, it was in Somali, so roughly translated in English, don't hate or mistreat the refugees, because tomorrow you can be one of them in a simple way. I walked out. That didn't change my humor, because I was in my country. The country was running normal. There was little problems, but was funny. Children were going to the schools. People were doing their business. And then, May 1988, there has been war in the northern part of the country, especially the two big cities, Hargeisa and Bra. A few weeks later, a friend of mine told me that one of the richest men in Bra, with his only remaining baby boy, arrived in Harshin refugee camp in Ethiopia. That word, on that day, came back to my mind, and I said, oh my God. Later, in 1990, the Iraqi army invaded Kuwait. And you know that Kuwaitis are one of the richest in the world. And in a couple of days, thousands of Kuwaitians fled from the country, entering the neighboring countries as refugees. Again, that phrase on that day came back to my mind, and I said, oh my God. Lastly, I myself ended up to become a refugee. Why I'm telling this story? This is why I myself and my friends in Nabadcuriye, we always thought to have an opportunity to give back our community something in the peace. And fortunately, I can say we are very grateful always with IFC and Somali Initiative of Dialogue and Democracy, led by former Deputy Prime Minister Osman. And Agenda for Reconciliation gave us an opportunity to have those trainings in 2013 and again in 2014. And after the trainings and having the qualification and experience and skills of facilitating or training, we sat down and we asked ourselves what we can do, and we decided to form an organization which took the name of the project, Nabadcuriye. And then we decided to do facilitations and trainings. We have been trained to train. So our members back home to train and facilitate and do the same thing here. Why here? More than 1.5 million Somalis live outside of Somalia. And they are directly or indirectly involved with what's going on the ground in Somalia, whether it is negative or positive. Positive in terms of reconstruction of the country, negative in terms of dispute and clashes and conflicts. And if I can say one of those these examples, last Monday we had dialogue facilitation session in Fulham, which is not far from here, between the community who came from the area of Galkayo. As you know, Galkayo, who don't know, is a city in central Somalia, which recently has experienced conflict, which died in few days more than 50 people. And then we took together those in that area and we facilitated. Adam was the facilitator and Saeed was co-facilitator. And after my speech, you will see a clip of that facilitation. And it went well. And two of our members now are in Mogadishu, and they are planning to do the same. And so we are going to do our work here and there to contribute the peace process in Somalia. And as you know, thousands of people from Horn Africa live here in the UK. And every year, many of these go back to home and then came back. And whenever people go there, in a war-torn area, when they come back with trauma, they come back with stress, and maybe someone radicalizing. So, for the benefit of the British people, it's good that Horn of Africa find the last long peace, because you know that area is very hot area, and not in terms of the temperature, but in terms of clashes and conflicts. We are trying to contribute as much as possible. Thank you for coming, and please join us in our training and facilitation sessions in the coming. You can follow us in our website, on Facebook page. Thank you again, and I think you can now see the clip. Thank you again.